Hello everyone. Welcome back to Adventure Recaps. Today I'm going to explain a Chinese horror and action movie called The Four Heavenly Kings. The film is starting in the old times in the city, China, where an emperor is awarding a dragon mace to a general named Detective D. This dragon mace is extremely valuable to that king's country and extremely powerful. It is known by the name of Dragon Blade. The power of this dragon mace may be estimated by this dragon mace may beat any magic of the world. This dragon mace was being awarded to Detective D right now because he had rescued the king along with the safety of the kingdom. So this dragon mace had been awarded to him, which was the strongest point of their kingdom. But Queen was not ready to award that dragon mace to Detective D here, because she was thinking that Detective D may also use this dragon mace against them. But King does not value her single word because he was taking all her fears meaningless. Queen says to the king, "You should take back that dragon mace from Detective D." But King does not agree with her and says, "I have awarded it to him, and he deserved for that dragon mace." Now Queen had kept quiet, hearing these words. But she was not going to keep this issue aside, because she was not in favor to award such a precious thing to anyone. So she meets a man named Yuchi at night. Queen assigns him a task: you have to steal that dragon mace from Detective D. Their plan included this: if Detective D loses that dragon mace, then King will punish him deadly. Due to this, Detective D's chapter will be closed. In this way, that dragon mace will come back into their castle. It had been revealed here that Yuchi was the friend of Detective D, and he did not want to put him into the trouble. But Queen agrees, Yuchi, saying this: "I may take the security of Detective D and his family on my behalf if you do me favor. And the king will do nothing with them on my request." This was a very hard task assigned to Yuchi. So Queen had also called other people here along with him. They were one sort of magicians and they used to cope with others through their enchantments. Each magician had his own tricks. Now they show their magic to Yuchi, on the order of Queen. While Yuchi thinks this, the task that Queen is making them to do, it is too critical, so no unknown person should be involved in this. Yuchi was explaining to Queen, "We cannot rely on the strangers. It may be happened that strangers may have the companionship with our oppositions, and they are also trying to grab the dragon mace." But the Queen says to Yuchi, "Here, don't worry. The problem is this: Detective D is boldest person. Moreover, he is also most intelligent. It is not an easy task to capture him or to steal his dragon mace. So you will never be able to perform it alone, so I have called them for your support. And they will carry out the orders according to your will." One girl was also being seen in this group, whose name was Water Moon. She shows her skill perfectly, coming out of the water, while others had also displayed their skills here, among whom a person had a trick to disappear the things in the air, while other magician had a trick to burn all things. Their leader had multi-skills as he could generate more than 2 arms from his body, and he used to show his magic trick through the flames. It is seen that all people planned to banish Detective D. They set a famous painting shop and the shop owner's house on fire. Later, Detective D was assigned the task to investigate this case. Detective D reaches there for the investigation of that case. It is seen here that Yuchi's team member named Fly Smoke, and who has a trick to disappear himself and things in the air, he was spying Detective D here. While his team others members had reached Detective D's house to grab the dragon mace, while investigating at painting shop, that painting for which that painting shop owner was so worried, they search it under the table at the same place of shop. Due to this, Detective D had investigated this that there is not any robbery, this place rather has been used as a trap. As Detective D's one of the soldiers start to touch that painting, then Detective D forbids him. As that painting shop owner holds that painting, coming forward, then his hands become poisonous and his whole body is distorted with the first sight. A white chemical releases from his mouth and he was dyed with this. And Detective D had witnessed the flying smoke on room's roof while looking around. Flying Smoke disappears himself in the air as he begins to chase him, leaving that place. Flying Smoke was moving above the tower made of bamboo. And Detective D was also following Flying Smoke as he jumps from there. Then, Detective D had observed a big pot at that place. Detective D had understood, there is surely something in this pot and it is not just ornament. So he jumps from its other side. And he also asks his soldiers to keep themselves away from it. As they all had gone far from that pot, then it had burst in reality. It was so poisonous. Contrarily, Water Moon, and mysterious-faced fire magician, they were being seen at the house of Detective D. Going inside, they cast a glance on a puzzle. They could move her ahead after solving this. Somehow, Water Moon solves that puzzle. At last, she had reached a box where there was eventually dragon mace before them. As Water Moon picks that dragon mace, then it is known that it was not just a mace, because it was a trap. There was placed a duplicate of mace. Picking it up, many vases are broken there. All soldiers were alerted on the loud breakage sounds. Water Moon and that fire magician were going to flee, then a trap is spread over them from the ceiling. They both are entrapped in this. Fire magician had burnt it and they had escaped before the arrival of the soldiers. On the other side, Yuchi was being observed here, who was showing his anger on Flying Smoke while chasing Detective D. Because Flying Smoke had tried to kill Detective D. And it had also revealed to Yuchi that they all four are not along with him. But they want to kill Detective D in some way. But the riddle of all facts has not been solved. The next day, they were being seen before Queen. They were embarrassed since they had failed to complete the mission. Queen was getting angry on them that, in spite of being skillful, they had not got ability to grab that mace while defeating a man. Now Queen had taken the leadership from Yuchi here. Now the leadership was in the hand of Tyan. He was that magician who had more than 2 magical arms. And he used to enchant with flames. Queen is again seen at night. Who had visited a prison with Yuchi, and we had come to know that Queen meets a man here. And it had been exposed here that the prisoner is so important for the Queen. And Queen works according to his suggestions. And she had agreed to take the dragon mace back from Detective D. And that man was suggesting her, you should make Detective D kill now. So that dragon mace comes back in your castle again. In the next day, it is a scene that Yuchi goes to Detective D's house to meet him, where Detective D says to him before his utterance of a single word, that I know there is Queen behind all actions. Now, Detective D gives a note to Yuchi here. There was a puzzle in this. He has come to know about the dragon mace after solving this puzzle. Detective D was also telling Yuchi, with this, a great disaster is going to happen in our kingdom. We both will have to face this disaster. Afterwards, it was being told in the movie that Detective D had disappeared and he knew while leaving that someone will surely chase him. And the people will surely try to steal his dragon mace. While a girl is seen spying Detective D's assistant. When Detective D's assistant was crossing a market, then he had witnessed a sigh in the market. He had closed his eyes while looking at it. It was seeming as someone has started to hypnotize him. But a man secures him, coming there before he hypnotized. This man was not anyone else but Detective D, who had approached here after disguising. Now a weird man was being shown in the further scene. There were many objects around him regarding rituals. And it was being revealed about that man as he desired to gain the power. So he was holding a control on Queen through the sorcery. In the next morning, Queen was being shown who was in Detective D's office. And she was asking about Detective D from his assistant. He responds on this, Detective D had gone to his house to meet with his family. Now Queen had got a best chance to play her trick. She shows everyone an artificial dragon mace and says to all, Detective D has lost it. And he had been terminated from his job as a punishment. After these many happenings, now Detective D's assistant was going to inform Detective D about it. While Water Moon was chasing him. But he was also the assistant of Detective D. So he approaches to Detective D while tricking that girl. And he tells him the whole story of this. Now the same sign is being shown here. Seeing this, Detective D's assistant had already been hypnotized for one time. The background story of this sign had been revealed here. This sign was from India and the people used to worship this sign. The worshipper of this sign are so threatening. And they could also control the minds of the people through this sign while hypnotizing. It was known that the lord of this symbol was a demon, but it had helped to secure this kingdom. So ex-king had kept with him, who was known as a king warrior. With the passage of time, that king was feeling threat from that wind warrior. So he had imprisoned the wind warrior in a prison. It had been exposed here that the prisoner with whom Queen used to meet, he was wind warrior who had also hypnotized the king. So Queen used to give him ears, and she used to be agree with him. It could be assessed through this. Queen did not want the dragon mace, but wind warrior wanted this. It had also been revealed here that Detective D also knows these warriors and their existence, which want to take revenge from the rulers of this kingdom. Now, Yuchi was being shown later who had solved the given puzzle of Detective D. Now he goes into a temple, and he had found a dragon mace in the hand of a statue. When Yuchi had attained the dragon mace, then he was thinking while holding this is a weapon. Why is there too much dispute because of this? Then a man of wind warrior had reached here to kill him. That man destroys all statues there while using his blade. But he remains unable to kill Yuchi, who had broken all his blades with the help of dragon mace. And he had also put him into death. After removing that enchantment, Yuchi had realized how powerful is this dragon mace. Now he had got that dragon mace, so he wanted to give it to Queen while moving into the palace. But he was also feeling fear as Queen may not take back her promise after getting dragon mace. And his friend may not kill Detective D. But he was shocked, going there, that Queen had replaced Detective D, general seat with Tian, sorcerer. Now she also wanted to introduce him to the king. Because Queen wanted that they may see this how powerful and skillful he is. And he may make them the part of his imperial now at old people places. After this, they were being seen in front of the king, where Tian creates a storm around him while using his multi-arms. Fire magician had generated lightning in that cloud, using his many weapons. As Tian was showing his magic tricks, suddenly his magic had become out of control. And the dark cloud had expanded created by his sorcery. Everything had drowned into darkness due to this. They all had got worried because of this situation for a while. They were surprising, what has happened this? Then a god statue started shaking before them. Then that statue had transformed into a dragon before the eyes of everyone. That dragon breathes fire after howling with aggression. So all people begin to run away as being frightened. Following this, it is revealed that the dragon had transformed the fire magician into the fire using its flames. While another magician like him could disappear anything into the air, he makes him fly into the air after disappearing himself, witnessing that dragon. But that dragon was also so shrewd which had caught that sorcerer from the air. Now that man was in the stomach of that man at a time. Later, dragon had fled, damaging the ceiling. Now, Yuchi had come here to one more building. That any man is killing the guards as he reached to protect the guards, he had left astonished had the assassin of the guards as quite his duplicate. And that duplicate had run away, casting a glance at Yuchi. While all had caught Yuchi, taking him as a criminal. Now it is informed to Detective D about this incident. And Detective D immediately sends his assistant to Master Inichi, a great sorcerer. Now, Detective D himself had reached the prison to secure Yuchi. Water Moon was also being seen who was chasing Detective D. But the Wind Warrior had approached here who wanted to kill that girl. Because that girl was doing the good deeds. Wind Warriors start his magic around that girl. She had started to escape from this. Meanwhile, she had witnessed the wolves-like demons, flying in the air, which she had started to fight. But she remains unable to hurt those demons. Because they all three demons get united all of a sudden. Being most powerful, they begin to come after her. Now that girl uses a shawl, showing her shrewdness. And she makes the enemies blind for a moment. Then she attacks them while jumping. As she had removed the cloth from the faces of those demons. She was shocked witnessing this, that demon was not anyone else but Queen. While Queen had hit Water Moon with her mysterious hand. That girl was running from there while rescuing hurriedly. While Queen was also after her. Water Moon had reached a go down, escaping herself. But she had lost her consciousness after being wounded there. Fortunately, Detective D's assistant had witnessed her. And he had taken her away while rescuing her. On the other side, Wind Warrior magicians are being observed, who had started to enchant the citizens. They all wanted to remove the memories of everyone. Detective D was being seen here, who had protected Yuchi. And he was telling Yuchi, now that Queen is surely in danger. Now that Queen and those people should be rescued from that Wind Warrior. Who is strongest and great magician. Now we succeeded to search Queen from a secret cave, where Queen was speaking with someone in her visions. And it had also been exposed here with all of them, that Queen who was being seen in the real world, she was not Queen but her duplicate. Real Queen had been kept here after hypnotizing. And the great demon Wind Warrior had escaped from there through the support of fake Queen. Detective D's assistant is being seen here, who had reached at the told location by Detective D. But he was not finding anything here except the stone-made things. Meanwhile, a white gorilla stands behind him while jumping. And it asks him to keep quiet. With the first sight of Detective D's assistant, that gorilla was actually an illusion. How he was feeling is such that he is in a river where fish are communicating with him. Fish says to him here, you cannot meet Master Yancy too soon. Because you need more understanding of this magic to meet Master Yancy. That illusion is over with the saying of that fish. After this, that gorilla was standing at the backside of assistant. And gorilla had left him out of that forest, where he had come to meet Master Yancy. On the opposite side, Detective D was being witnessed, who had brought Queen to the castle after saving her. Now, Detective D had given a note by the assistant. Which note had been given to him by the white gorilla. According to it, it was message sent by Master Yancy. And they did not know about this, that Wind Warrior was getting ready to attack them again. About which he had gathered the details from the Fire Sorcerer. It had also been known that Fire Sorcerer was also not along with Queen in reality. But he was the attendant of the Wind Warrior. Getting those details, they attacked the castle, where a big-eyed giant monster had been seen, appearing behind the building. It was giant that everything was appearing small before it. All soldiers were attacking it immediately as being united. But every attack was harmless for it. Detective D suggests everyone to recite those enchanted spell after keeping silent. Master Yancy had sent them through Detective D's assistant. Many trees had started to grow there after reciting those spells. And those trees had reduced the effect of demon's enchantment. But their war still not over even after defeating it. Because Wind Warrior's other men had attacked their castle from the backside. At their first sight, they had beat all the soldiers. Detective D takes actions here very shrewdly. And he asks everyone to use the second option. For this, his assistant rings a biggest bell. And many horse riders soldiers are seen coming towards the castle. Before this, those soldiers may attack the Wind Warrior's men. Wind Warrior is seen standing on the top floor of the building, where he starts his special enchantment. Consequently, all soldiers had hypnotized at a time. They were realizing where they are going to step, a giant monster is appearing from that place. And the arrows which were being used to attack the soldiers by the Wind Warrior's men, soldiers were taking those arrows like some creatures. Due to this, all soldiers are defeated. Being worried from all this situation, Detective D quickly brings that dragon mace. And that dragon mace had ended all the enchantment of Wind Warrior within a few seconds. It had known here that those all soldiers were still alright. And all soldiers are gathered again after the ending of Wind Warrior enchantment. Detective D says to Wind Warrior, surrender yourself. But he was not going to accept his defeat. Meanwhile, one of his men had hanged D upside down, tying a rope in his feet. His other friends, on the other hand, were attacking soldiers and transforming into monsters. The weapon of Detective D, which had fallen down, his assistant quickly lifts that weapon. And he escapes from there in order to rescue his life. Wind Warrior again starts his enchantment before he escapes. Due to this, a giant monster appears again from the backside, who had caught Detective D like a toy in his hand in the position of upside down. It was going to victimize Detective D, then Yuchi catches his sight here. Now he attacks with his dragon mace in the air. So those ropes are untied, with which Detective D was hanging in the air. Detective D's assistant immediately throws the dragon mace here towards Yuchi. But Yuchi does not catch this dragon mace because a demon had caught it, coming in center. Now Wind Warrior had possessed that dragon mace, while Detective D's assistant was going to be killed by Wind Warrior's demons. And Water Moon had appeared here to rescue him. While it was appearing, witnessing the dragon mace in the hand of Wind Warrior as he has won the war. But the celebration of his victory was of short time period, because White Gorilla had approached at this time, which had met Dee's assistant at the house of Master Yancy. It had revealed here that Master Yancy had approached here to rescue all. And he had caught that dragon mace while flying in the air. Seeing this, Wind Warrior had got aggressive. So he had made his giant demon to attack Master Yancy. And that demon was attacking Master Yancy while generating tentacle from its mouth, where Master Yancy and his gorilla had hidden from that tentacle. But the astonishing fact was this, that demon's tentacles which were going to kill Master Yancy, within a few seconds, they attack the demon unexpectedly. Due to this attack, that demon flies into rage. And his all eyes in his body which were appearing so frightening in his body everywhere, he attacks Master Yancy, pulling them out. Those eyes had burst like a bubble while reaching Master Yancy. And they had covered Master Yancy among them. But Master Yancy was not under the cover of those eyes in reality. Now, Master Yancy was appearing at the upper side of that demon, where that gorilla screams in the ear of that demon. Due to this, that demon is ended at the spot. Now, Master Yancy goes to Wind Warrior. He explains to him, nothing is gained in war. But Wind Warrior was not going to value his words. He starts his enchantment again. And he covers Master Inichi's face with a mysterious object, from which he was finding difficulty to get rid. But this mysterious object had also covered the face of Wind Warrior. And that mysterious object has taken the life of Wind Warrior after clutching. That big mysterious object had left on the face of Master Yancy now, which is removed easily with the help of Dragon Mace by Master Yancy. Afterwards, he again gives that Dragon Mace back to Detective D. And he himself had knelt down in honor. The movie had completed on this scene. Subscribe the Adventure Recaps for more content like this, and also leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time. Thanks for watching.